one of the really cool things that that I get to do is come back here and talk to you all. I'm actually an alumni of Texas State. Was in Dr. Bell's class. And did the full entrepreneurial concentration, which is awesome. And it taught me a lot of things, like I still know about, hold on, let me get it right here. Forming, norming, storming, and performing.
Hey, let's go.
Right? So for me, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My great-grandfather was an entrepreneur, owned his own lumber company. My grandfather was an entrepreneur, started a chemical sampling company and also a home building company. My father is an entrepreneur, started a housing rental company, foundation repair. We did a lot of things when I was a kid. So entrepreneurship's kind of been in my blood for a long time. One of my very first jobs that I started was probably something similar to some folks in here, is a lawn mowing business. So we had a territory, and we literally ran the wheels off of a lawnmower and learned quite a bit about what it means to run a business. Since then, I've been part of a couple of startups. I've been able to say that we've brought some companies off the ground, and some successes and some failures, but always learning opportunities, which is really, really cool. After I graduated from school, I kind of went around for a little while. Like I said, started a business, and finally found my way to the place where I work right now, which is a place called Tech Shop. And it's an amazing, amazing resource for entrepreneurs. Safe to say, probably most of you haven't heard about Tech Shop. There's only 8 of them in the nation right now, but they're growing. And essentially, Tech Shop is like a gym, but instead of weights and workout equipment and a sauna, Tech Shop provides industrial tools and equipment. What we call it is a membership-based, open access, do-it-yourself makerspace and fabrication studio. And basically what that means is Tech Shop provides all of the tools that you could imagine to build anything you could dream up. So if you're into woodworking, or if you're into electronics or textiles or welding or sandblasting, powder coating, we've got a water jet that'll cut through 5 inches of anything. And all these things kind of live under one house. In fact, there's about $1 million worth of tools and equipment that at Tech Shop you can have access to. And so I was a member there prior to actually joining up as a person that works there. My wife likes to say that that only happened because I never left, and so they had to hire me. But it's a really, really good opportunity to essentially talk about and be a part of something that is amazing, and that is the maker movement. And the maker movement has so much to do with entrepreneurship that it's really exciting. Some folks come into Tech Shop, and there are what we call accidental entrepreneurs. So they're not even as far as you guys, in that they just wanted to come in and have fun, and they stumble into a business there. We have other folks that come into Tech Shop, and they've got a real specific goal. They're going to do prototyping. One of the examples is a company that just received a Kickstarter funding. They were 300% funded on Kickstarter. It's a company called Pretty Smart Homes, and they made a pretty smart lamp. And the reason I bring it up is because at Tech Shop, the guy came in with an idea, and he actually failed 3 or 4 times in making his idea a reality. Now, the really, really cool thing, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, is failure is not a bad thing. Failure is actually a great thing. And in design school, they teach you that. Fail early, fail often, build your prototype, and move forward, get feedback, and make it better. So this guy Antonio comes in, and he's looking to create a pretty smart lamp, and that's an internet-connected lamp that will connect to your phone and do some really cool things. And he was able to actually save a ton of money doing it at Tech Shop, and he was able to come out with a better design because of the community that existed there. And from there, he went all the way, like I said, to a successful fund on Kickstarter, and now he's actually moved from a really cool idea, from idea to prototype, from prototype to funding, and now he's in the manufacturing stage. And that's kind of a life cycle that you'll see in entrepreneurship if you're going to create a product. And that product can be something physical and real, or it can be, in Austin, a lot of products that exist are digital products, apps and things like that. The cool thing is the apps are kind of the big blow up, and everybody knows that digitally there's a lot of startups happening. Well, in hardware, it's lagging behind because they say hardware is hard, but places like tech shops making it easier. When you come to Tech Shop, it's a pretty neat experience. It's open 24/7, and so you can go in there anytime, day or night, and they're going to have things for you there that you won't find anywhere else. One of them is the community, and the other is training. So how many people in this room know how to use a water jet? It's a $200,000 machine that generates 60,000 pounds per square inch of water pressure, mixes with some garnet, and will cut through 5 inches of anything. We got one back here. That's great, and that makes, I think, 3 of us in the room. This guy over here, myself, and yourself can use a water jet. Now, imagine this. I'm just a guy, grew up in North Austin, never had any engineering experience, didn't spend any time over in the engineering department while I was here at school, which I lament, but I went into Tech Shop, and with 4 hours worth of training, for 4 hours I sat and watched them. This is how you work the computer. Here's all the levers work. Here's how everything is done. At the end of that 4-hour class, they handed me the keys to a $200,000 machine and said, here, go have fun. And that won't happen anywhere else on the planet except for a place like Tech Shop. And like I say, that's a great resource for entrepreneurs. So instead of thinking about, okay, who am I going to hire to do this one bit of my prototype, and I told them that I wanted it one specific way, but it turns out I'm still learning about my product, and I didn't really want it this one specific way. Everybody's told me it should be this other way. Well, the prototypers, it took 6 weeks, and they made it just like you wanted, but that was not right, because you've learned a lot in that 6 weeks. At Tech Shop, that 6 weeks can be compressed down to 3 days, or even in the same day you could iterate through prototypes. The guy, Antonio, he was going through different prototypes, and he went through about 10, and he did it in 3 weeks. So he went from idea through his 10th prototype in 3 weeks. And then another couple of months later, he was on Kickstarter and funded. Happens all the time up there. A couple of the notable startups that you guys may have heard of. Plenty of members from Tech Shop have been on Shark Tank. I'm sure y'all are familiar with that show. Have you ever heard of the Uru kayak? It's the little foldable kayak. That was born at Tech Shop. There's another one called Lumio. It's a really cool book lamp that opens up, and that was on Shark Tank. And one that wasn't on Shark Tank, but certainly could have been, was this little device called Square. Y'all may have heard of it. It's the one that plugs into your cell phone. You can swipe credit cards. So very first Square ever built was built at Tech Shop. And the reason I bring this up is really important. One of the things you'll find if you're starting a business, and if it's a digital business or hardware business or anything in between, you're going to actually need a prototype. And that prototype is really, really important because it's going to do what I call the mental math for folks. So as you go out there and try to start your business, one of the very first things you're going to realize is that starting a business is about convincing folks that your idea is a good one. You got to get people on your side, whether it's you're building your team and you're trying to get that perfect team together. I need a mechanical engineer. I need somebody from software. I need somebody from this. You're building that team. You got to convince them that your dream, what you think is awesome, is, you got to get them to buy into that dream. Well, when it comes to investors, it's the exact same way. You've got to get them to buy into your dream. So, James McKelvey, a guy named Jack Dorsey, had this idea for Square. And they started to go out to all the venture capitalists in the Silicon Valley area. And just to give you a little bit more backstory, Jack Dorsey, he started this other company and had already successfully kicked it off. Another one you guys may have heard of, Twitter. Anyone? Okay. Reason I bring that up is because Jack Dorsey, who started Twitter, huge company and huge success, teamed up with this guy, James McKelvey, and they went around looking for funding. And every single venture capitalist, and this is the top 10 venture capitalists in Silicon Valley, they all turned him down. They said, pretty cool idea, but we don't believe you can do it. So they made their way into Tech Shop, and they built their first prototype, which is a pretty cool accomplishment anyway. First Square ever built a Tech Shop. But they went back out to these same venture capitalists and pitched them with this idea. They plugged it in, and they grabbed the investors' credit cards, and the very first $500 that was ever raised for Square was actually raised by swiping $50 a piece off of 10 investors' credit cards, which story goes, they never gave back. And then they went and raised like $10 million. The point being, when you don't have a prototype, it's just your idea. If you've got something, you can put it in their hands, that is so much more powerful than just saying, hey, I've got this thing. And that's some places call it like a minimally viable product. Other places you want to have your actual prototype. But you want to have something that you can put in folks' hands so that they can see it and feel it and make it real as it is to you. Because you've been thinking about this idea, you've been dreaming it up, whatever it is, for a long time. And it's all in here, but you got to get it out and you got to make it real for yourself, and you got to make it real for the people who you're going to convince to come along this journey with you. And so that's a good example of what you could do as a resource to Tech Shop if you were going to be building something like that. Some of the other success stories and some of the things that are pretty cool, in addition to the Uru Kayak and several others. We've got a company right now that hopefully y'all see pretty soon. They're making a smart connected thermometer and some smart connected things for the kitchen. We've got some guys doing robots in our shop right now, which hopefully you'll see pretty soon. And we've got people playing with electronics. But one of our coolest stories, I think, is the story out of California. So Tech Shop has several stores, and 3 of them are in the Bay Area: San Francisco, San Jose, and Menlo Park. Menlo Park is where Stanford is located. Stanford is the big design school out there. I mean, they do a lot of stuff, but design is one of the things that they do really well. They had a couple of students that were seniors, and they're working on their senior project, and the senior project was this incubation blanket. So they saw a problem that they had to solve, and that problem was kids in third world and developing countries, if they're born premature and they're born out in the middle of nowhere, in the boonies, you've only got about an hour as a little baby before you get into real trouble, because premature babies can't regulate their body temperature. So that was the problem that they're trying to solve. They want to figure out how to make a really low cost, no electricity needed baby incubation blanket to give these kids a chance to at least get to civilization, to a hospital, to have a fighting chance. Well, they're working on their project, and they got it almost up to an hour's worth of incubation. And very much like Texas State has here, there's a makerspace that actually exists in the engineering department with a lot of really cool tools. And as a student, at least as an engineering student, you get access to some of those tools. But once you graduate, they're going to kick you out into the real world, and you're not going to have access to those things. Well, these kids, they figured out about Tech Shop, made their way in, and we're sitting out on what we call our hub tables. And our hub tables are basically where all the ideas kind of come together. So you might make stuff in the machine shop, you might make stuff in the wood shop, you might be, making components on the water jet, but they're all going to kind of come and be assembled in one place, which is really, really exciting, because what happens is you'll have somebody working on a robot on one table and someone else working on, and this is actually true, a diamond manufacturing machine, or someone else working on the world's most efficient cooling system for computers. Or in this case, the kids from Stanford that came in to work on their baby incubation blanket. They're working and, plugging along like they should. Well, another member that walks by happens to be a polymer chemist. And it's an opportunity, because as a polymer chemist, he looks at what they're doing and he says, hey, I know something about this. I think I can help you out. Well, that one little bit of interaction, that one little fortunate opportunity to share ideas turned almost an hour's worth of incubation into 4 hours worth of incubation. And this product actually exists now. GE Healthcare sells it and distributes it, and it's saved almost 100,000 lives in the world as we speak, which is amazing. What it tells me is you can do a lot of things and you can make a lot of things at Tech Shop, but you can make a difference too. And I think that is foundational to what it means to be an entrepreneur. Everybody always hears about the big exits. Everybody always hears about how you're going to make $1 million and be set for life. But I can almost guarantee you that most of the folks that set out for that goal never reach it, because that's not really what it's about. What being an entrepreneur means, and this I'll kind of finish on, but what it means, and I'll take it back to a guy you've probably maybe heard of, maybe not, a guy named Zig Ziglar. He started out selling pots and pans door to door, but he's an excellent motivational speaker and salesman. And he said that you can have everything you want in life by helping other people get what they want. And that, to me, is what being an entrepreneur means. It means going out and solving a problem, helping other people get what they want, and they will reward you. They will thank you with their money and their dollars and their actual praise when you do that. So if I can leave you with one thing, is find good teams, listen, hear, and build a network, and I know you guys are all already way ahead of most of the crowd, but find a reason why you're doing what you're doing. Do it for more than just the money. The money will come. Do it because you want to make a difference. And I think you'll find that you'll be super successful in business and in life. And so that's basically all I've got today. Not a real long talk, but I know that there were some questions. So I'll throw it out to you guys and answer any questions that y'all might have about Tech Shop or my experience as an entrepreneur or just life in general.
I just want to know where you're located.
So we are in Round Rock in the La Frontera Shopping Center, just a couple of exits down from the Texas State School up there in North Round Rock. And we're partnered with Lowe's. And so it's pretty cool. We're right next to a place that sells a whole bunch of supplies. We even have our own little doorway between us and Lowe's. And so if you can go in there and find Lowe's, you can find us. An amazing place. Come and check us out. It's not that far, I promise. Yes, sir.
The first thing you said, it was like 4 things. I missed it there. You said forming, storming, life, performing.
Yeah. Anybody?
Norming.
There it is.
Too many names at once.
Yeah, so that is the creation of a team. And this I've seen happen as an entrepreneur. You're going to go through stages of team creation. And this is something that I did learn from Dr. Bell. The idea that when you come together as a team, it's very much not like what you see on TV. There's not nearly as much drama as you might think. But what ends up happening is there's always this kind of gritty in-between stage where folks are still kind of figuring it out. And in an entrepreneurship, it's even more important to kind of get through that early before you really hit your stride. Because things like, we talked about an exit. If you're looking to do an exit, but your partner's looking to take this thing and make it their legacy, well, you're looking to get out early, and they're looking to make this a life business. You guys have opposing goals. You may be working on the same project, but y'all have opposing goals. And so if you don't come to those kind of terms early, if you don't get that out in the open early, then you're going to run into problems, and your business is going to run into problems. And you guys already know how difficult it is to start a business. You know that most of them fail. And so you want to give yourself as many opportunities to succeed as possible. And one of those is finding a team and figuring out how to work with that team and really meld and hit your stride. So yeah, remember that, and you'll see it as you work in life. You'll kind of see that happening. You'll say, okay, we've come together, but now it's kind of crazy, and nobody's getting along, and everybody's just kind of. And then you'll find, okay, well, this person's really good at this, but really, they never show up on time, so we're not going to ask them to, bring a really important piece to the meeting. But they're really good at this other thing. So you find those places, and that's that norming, that's that kind of finding your groove, and then the very last thing is performing. Yes, sir?
Is there any industrial kitchen equipment at
Tech Shop, yeah.
Tech Shop.
Yes, but not really for members. Now,
I imagine you don't have any personal chefs coming to over there to go make a bunch of food.
No. I mean, we've got a prep kitchen for events and things like that, but mostly folks are making things. So if you wanted to make a tool that might go in an industrial kitchen, you could definitely do that. Some of the companies that do things at Tech Shop, in addition to the hobbyists and the folks that are kind of playing around in there, are companies that come in and do their R&D. So the company Wayne Dresser, they make all of the big gas pumps and stuff that you go to Citco or whatever. They do their R&D at a Tech Shop, and Ford has partnered with us in Detroit, and Ford specifically brought Tech Shop in because they wanted to increase innovation, and this is actually a really cool thing. So what they figured out was if you provide access to all these tools, what ends up happening is innovation happens. A lot of the times, and I can speak from experience before I discovered Tech Shop, a lot of times what happens when you're trying to solve a problem is you need to attack it in a certain way, and you have to attack it with the tools that you have in front of you. And a lot of the times, a tool might be available to make your life a lot easier, but you don't have it. So you have to use your innovative energy to get around not having that tool. Well, when you have access to, it's like a painter trying to paint with only one brush. He's not going to be very successful. He might get it done. He might be able to make a masterpiece, but how much was lost because he's trying to figure out how to do something with an improper tool? So if you come to Tech Shop and you have all of those things available to you, innovation kind of just happens. And in Ford's case, In the very first year that they put a tech shop up in Detroit, they noticed a 32% increase in the number of employee submitted patents from Ford. Overall now, they're up over 50% from where they were. So they figured out that just simply providing all those tools, giving yourself access to all of those tools, will make innovation succeed. So you'll come up with ideas if you don't have to think about how to get around an idea. Yes, sir.
So what is exactly your position there? Are you a trainer or are you more on the corporate side?
Yeah, so I would say I'm part evangelist, and that is just personal because I love the place. So chances are, if you ask me too many questions, eventually I'm going to start talking about Tech Shop. But ultimately, my job there is to help businesses and institutions become members of Tech Shop. So as a regular person, you could come in there and start working. But if you're Dell, or if you're Freescale, or if you're Intel, or one of these big companies, we have a place for you there, and all of those folks are actually members of Tech Shop as well. And so my job is just to be a problem solver for them. And so technically it's a sales position, but you'll find also in entrepreneur, and being an entrepreneur, that 90% of what you do is going to be sales. So if you don't like sales, if you don't like getting in front of people and getting somebody excited about your idea, then you may want to consider a different role. Or you may want to consider a partner that's really, really good at that. Because let's say you go to school and you decide you want to start your own company as an electrician. You just love being an electrician. And you worked as an electrician for somebody else for 10 years and just loved every minute of it. As soon as you start your own business, you're going to be 15% electrician and 85% salesperson, because that's what it means to really start a business, is to get other people excited about it. So to your point, what I do is A, help solve problems, and B, get folks as excited as I am about the resource that exists, the resource that's only, here, maybe 50 miles. And this is really not that far. Just to give you an idea, we've got folks coming from as far as Dallas and Houston and even Belize, which is down in like the Caribbean. Yes, ma'am.
So how much are your personal memberships?
$150 a month gets you access to $1 million worth of tools and equipment. So if you don't want to do that, or you don't see that you need it, we have everything down to a day pass. So you can come in for a day, and it's 24 hours, so you get full 24 hours. You can do whatever you need to do. We got a guy that comes in and uses our wood lathe. He owns a business and he sells these beautiful, beautiful bowls. Well, he only comes in every once in a while, and he turns his bowls and then makes a big mess and sweeps it up and leaves. Day pass $50. So you can come in there. Now, if you don't want to actually, like let's say you're just really into 3D printing but you don't know anything about it, Tech Shop provides training on all this stuff. So you could come in and learn how to use a 3D printer and then go and buy your own. Or learn how to use a water jet and then go and apply for a job and say, yeah, no, I know how to use that machine.
I'm asking because my boyfriend is an electrician.
Okay.
And I feel like we live, well, when I'm with him, we're like always at Lowe's and Home Depot. And I mean, he's always online looking to create something else. Like, he just loves it.
Oh, absolutely. Sounds like he'd fit right into Tech Shop. For sure, for sure. And tinkering and solving those problems will turn into opportunities.
Yeah, and then as far as my own interest too, that sounds.
Yeah. Well, I like to say that if you walk into Tech Shop and you don't leave just a little bit inspired, we got to check your pulse, because we have something for everybody. I saw a question back here. Yes, sir.
Two questions. One, so like, how do you like assure that these people that come in for like a day pass or personal memberships that say, hey, yeah, like I know how to work a wood lathe or lathe or whatever.
Yeah.
And they say that they know. Like, do you have any sort of proficiency exam?
Absolutely.
Or?
Yeah. So what we call it is a safety and basic use class. Our longest class is that water jet, the $200,000 machine. It's a 4-hour class. Past that, 2 to 3 hour classes, anywhere between 4 and 6 people total in the class. So they're real small class sizes, super hands-on, and the idea is, just like I said, safety and basic use. So even if you've been a woodworker for 25 years and you know everything there is to know about working with wood, you still have to take our class, and we're going to show you where all the knobs and dials and buttons on our machine is, and we're going to show you how to use it safely, and then we'll turn it loose for you. But it's really not that bad. So if you've never done it before, let's say you've been welding your whole life and you want to use our MIG welder or our TIG welder. Well, $65 in 2 hours is going to get you access to the welder, to all the safety gear, to the shop, everything you need. And that's something that we require. Our insurance, and I would say to a lesser degree, lawyers make sure that that's the way it works for liability. Yes, sir.
Then follow-up question. So if these people come and they pass your test and they pay the money to use your equipment and they make some big product, do y'all have any rights to their future success in the sense of like they wouldn't have been successful if it weren't for y'all?
No. In fact, our store in California has a hotline directly to the U.S. Patent Office. You can pick up the phone and get your patent started right then and there. No, the only thing we're going to do is talk about all the cool success stories, like the world's most efficient PC cooling system. Emerson Process owns that now. They bought it from a guy that invented it at Tech Shop. The world's most efficient drip irrigation system was made at Tech Shop. And these guys, they're all out there. Tech Shop is for profit, just like a gym is. But if you went and worked out at a gym, at Gold's Gym, for 2 years, and then you became Mr. Universe, Gold's Gym's not going to be like, hey, Mr. Universe, put a little asterisk down there. We know where you did it at. It's a resource. It's a place for you to be encouraged. And truth be told, it's probably one of the best places because of the community that exists there. You guys are an awesome community, and I'm willing to bet that if I pulled this room, there are so many different talents and different things that you could do in this room. Just imagine a place with 700-800 people like you wanting to create things, but also having done completely different things. Like for me, example, a project that I'm working on is using our injection molder to create some little boxes. I've never injection molded a thing in my life, but I'm not scared. I'm not moving slowly on my project because I know when I'm ready to go and learn about injection molding, not only is there an excellent instructor, but there's also a guy named Ryan who's done injection molding for 25 years, and now he's poking around at the shop making barbecue pits and all sorts of other stuff. Well, I can go talk to Ryan and say, look, here's what I'm trying to do, and he's going to tell me, he's going to say, look, when you're starting, you're making all these mistakes, and these real small mistakes that you would eventually learn, but why not get a head start if you know somebody that can already kind of give you that head start? So Tech Shop's more of a resource than it is trying to capitalize or lock down your idea. Yes, ma'am?
You said there's a community aspect. Is that just the people that you run into? Is there some kind of form of networking that?
Yeah. So we do. We're a host for several meetups. So any member of Tech Shop can become a host of a meetup. So if you're really into drones, it's probably one of our next meetups that is going to come online. You can come in and start a meetup. We take care of everything, so you don't have to pay. We provide the space, and all you have to do is bring your friends in or people you know. In addition to that, we do things like a maker market. So we have a market where anyone who has made something at Tech Shop can participate in our market and sell things. We also have a member show and tell, which is probably one of my favorite events, where it's just folks that get together and show off the cool stuff that they've made. And that could be anything from a guy built and partially modified a pinball game. Another guy used the CNC wood router to make his own bass guitar. So, and then I brought a tiny little avocado holder that I laser cut. But the very cool thing is when you make something, you want to share it with other people, whether it be a gift or otherwise.
Do you have the capability? We're not confident in skills, but you understand what we're going to make, like a bowl, but we don't want to mess our nails up. Now, do you have a list of qualified or people that maybe have done it? For example, you could say, okay, I want to save on the labor. I don't want to go through 3 screw ups. I want to make it right one time. So give me someone that can do it for me.
Absolutely. Tech Shop offers consulting services. So we want you to do it yourself. And one of the great examples of really what you can do up there is a guy, and you can look it up. He wrote for Make Magazine. A guy named David Lang wrote a book called Zero to Maker. And pretty cool book. He was a writer. He was like a copyright editor. Had nothing to do with making. The best he could do was make sentences well. He came into Tech Shop and started. 9 months later, he's the co-founder of a company called OpenROV. It's an underwater robotics company, and he knew nothing. And that happens all the time. Now, had he wanted us to do part of that, we definitely could. It's $95 an hour. to have our consulting. But if you say, look, I want these parts machined and I don't want to, do it because I'm on a time crunch, we can take care of that for you. But chances are we're going to try to convince you to say, okay, look, we're going to make this for you, but why don't you sign up for the class too?
I've got something in mind, but it's a metal instrument.
Yeah.
We're just like, this prototype's really got to be good, and I don't have time to mess it up, so I need it right.
Absolutely. Yeah, so there's options. We can do consulting. We also have part of the community up on our bulletin board. We call it the Tech Shop Brain Trust. And if you're really good at machining, you put your name up there and your contact information, and a member to member can kind of contract with each other and say, look, I know where the peanut butter is and you know where the chocolate is. Let's get together and make something amazing. And that happens all the time. So it just depends on how you want to do it. Now, I will say that no one should be scared of the technical aspect. Not only do we have great training, but that goes everywhere from computer-aided design, which we can start you out basic, here's what a computer-aided design software does, and here's how you can translate that into something physical, all the way up to labs in different technical areas. So let's say it's a welding area. We have what's called a welding lab, where you just bring your project idea in. One of our instructors is going to be there, and there's no curriculum other than, here's what I'm trying to do. Can you help me figure it out? And we've got that for modeling. We've got that for welding. We have that for our $30,000 long arm quilter class, where you can, use a CNC machine to quilt, which my grandma says is crazy. She's got to do it by hand, but not me. But yeah, definitely. If you came up there, I think that you'd be surprised that yes, we can take care of it for you, but at the same time, chances are you could probably do it yourself with our community there. But yeah, I'll talk to you afterwards.
We have time for one more question.
Oh, one more question.
And I assume that the materials are not supplied to a tech shop. Like if you want to cut through some steel plate, you got to bring it yourself, provide it, let us next door.
Right. Yeah, and we have great relationships with like Metals for You if you're doing steel plate.
So you have reduced rates for members.
Some places do. Most of it is them working with us and knowing and educating our members. So you go in there and you don't really know what you're talking about. You need some sort of. They'll help you out. Do deliveries and really good folks.
Awesome. One more.
Okay, one more. Yes, ma'am.
I was going to ask, so if you could create something, you can just go home with it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's yours. It's yours. We like to say that for members, we want you to bring your material and your idea in. We're going to cover everything else. And when you leave, if you stick around the front desk for just a little while, like I did when I was a member, then you have to sign in and sign out for equipment and things like that. And I kind of like lay my project up on the table and take my time signing it. And I'm like, somebody can ask me what I made? Okay, just a little bit longer. And finally somebody asked, oh, let me tell you all about what I made. But it's yours to keep. Definitely yours to keep. Well, thank you so much, guys, for letting me come out.